Seattle's about to change more in 1 year than it has in a decade. Over $1 billion in projects are rushing to finish before 750,000 World Cup visitors show up in June of 2026. So today, I'm going to show you everything the city is doing to get ready. I'm going to give you details on all the major developments that will change Seattle forever, from light rail lines to total waterfront makeovers. Now, in 2026, Seattle is fixing the one road that brings the entire city to a standstill when something goes wrong. And we all know what that is, I-5, Interstate 5. The Revive I-5 project is a $203 million overhaul. The focus is the Ship Canal Bridge. This 60-year-old bridge carries over 240,000 vehicles every single day. Now, in 2026, construction crews will repair 900 feet of cracked bridge deck. They'll replace drainage systems that haven't been touched in decades, and they'll resurface the entire span. You're going to see lane closures throughout the year. Some will last weeks or even months. But here's the deal. The state promised to keep all lanes open during World Cup matches in June and July. They cannot have international visitors stuck in construction traffic. So let's talk about trains now. The East Link extension finally connects Seattle to the east side by crossing Lake Washington. This has been delayed for years. Sound Transit now says full service starts late April 2026. Now, this 14-mile train line runs from downtown Seattle, across the I-90 floating bridge. It stops at Mercer Island, Bellevue, and then Redmond. So by 2030, they expect 50,000 riders per day. That is 50,000 fewer cars trying to cross the bridges during rush hour. Now, up north, Seattle opens a brand new station, officially named Pinehurst Station. It becomes the city's northernmost light rail stop. Now, all these transit upgrades are only half the story. Massive office towers and airport renovations are rising up right alongside these new train lines, which I'll show you in just a minute. Now, 3rd Avenue is also getting a major facelift. This street is one of the busiest transit corridors in North America. Every day, hundreds of buses move tens of thousands of people through downtown. Now, before the World Cup, Seattle is adding better signs so visitors can find their way. They're making sidewalks more accessible for wheelchairs and strollers. They're improving lighting and safety features between downtown and Belltown. And the city wanted to do even more. They planned a full transit mall extension into Belltown. That's getting pushed back now until after the World Cup, as we can't have major construction during the biggest sporting event in the world. So every single one of these projects shares the same deadline: be ready before June 2026. All right, commercial and urban development is our next topic. Now, Amazon just built 2 towers that completely change what the east side skyline looks like. But before we get into that, if you'd like to know all about what's happening in Seattle, big developments, new restaurants, major news for the city, you'll definitely want to subscribe to my weekly newsletter where I go deep into the details on those every single week. Just check the description below for the link to sign up. All right, now moving on to Bellevue. Bellevue 600 is completing construction in 2025. Now, what is that? It's not just one building, it's 2 towers covering 3.5 acres. Together, they add 1.5 million square feet of office space. Now, that's enough room for over 7,000 Amazon employees. The main tower rises 43 stories and stands 600 feet tall, making it tied as Bellevue's tallest building alongside the Amazon Sonic Tower. Now, the second phase adds 31 stories with 764,000 square feet of offices, shops, and community spaces. They're putting in a daycare center, public areas anyone can use, and if you haven't seen Bellevue in a few years, you will not recognize it. Not to be outdone, downtown Seattle has another major office tower in the works. The Net is a 36-story building focused on keeping workers healthy and comfortable. It includes a huge 16,000 square foot park built into the upper floors across 3 levels. This would be a premium office space, the kind tech companies fight over. The project is in redevelopment with a potential 2027 delivery if market conditions approve. Now, if built, this 800,000 square foot tower could transform downtown Seattle skyline. But the real transformation isn't in office towers, it's what's happening alongside the entire waterfront, and I'm going to walk you through that next. But first, let's talk about SeaTac. How are all these people from the World Cup going to get here? Well, SeaTac International Airport will finish its Sea Concourse expansion in the second quarter of 2026. That's a $399 million project. They're adding expansion space above the existing concourse, creating 146,000 square feet of new area, 13 new restaurants and shops, a bigger Alaska Airlines lounge, and just wait, there's more. The whole design uses Pacific Northwest materials, natural wood, plants, big windows for light. This wraps up right before the international travelers pour into Seattle for the World Cup. Now, these building projects really matter. They're not what most people will actually see and use. The next wave of changes affects everyone who's walking along the waterfront or bikes through downtown. Now, Seattle's waterfront, that's what we're talking about now. It is getting the biggest makeover it's seen in decades. If you like walking, biking, or just being outside, this really matters to you. The Elliott Bay Connections project is the centerpiece. It creates connected parks and public spaces spanning 3.5 miles of waterfront along Elliott Bay. The whole thing costs $45 million, and here's what's wild. Private donors are paying for it. That's right, not your city tax dollars at work. Private donors. Melinda French Gates, Mackenzie Scott, and other billionaires all wrote the checks. Zero taxpayer money. So by summer 2026, you can walk or bike a protected greenway trail from Pier 62 all the way to the Olympic Sculpture Park without even crossing a single car lane. They're completely rebuilding Myrtle Edwards and Centennial Parks too. New walking and biking trails, better beach access, upgraded lighting so it's safer after dark, and a brand new building with bathrooms and food stands. Just basic stuff, right? That's been missing for years. They're planting native species and adding design elements that honor the indigenous Coast Salish peoples who lived there first. And those plants aren't just pretty, they're chosen to survive big storms and flooding as climate changes. Now here's why all this work is happening so fast. Once again, Seattle is about to host the biggest sporting event in the entire world, and I'll show you exactly what that means in just a minute. So Seattle is also planting thousands of trees. Mayor Bruce Harrell signed an order. For every healthy tree removed from city property, 3 new ones get planted. Over 5 years, that's 8,000 trees on public and private properties. Another 40,000 seedlings go into parks and natural areas, and they're focusing on places like 3rd Avenue, spots that need shade and green space. This helps the city handle those summer heat waves we're now starting to have, and it also looks better for visitors coming this summer. Bike lanes are also expanding everywhere. The Alaskan Way Safety Project finishes a 0.6-mile protected bike lane by summer, and we've all seen it already. Bike lanes are just popping everywhere. But now you can ride your bike along the entire waterfront from Pioneer Square to Belltown without worrying about cars at all. The Belltown to Seattle Center connection will add protected lanes on 4th Ave straight to Seattle Center. And that is important because the Seattle Center is going to become the main FIFA fan zone during the World Cup. Up to 20,000 soccer fans at once. They need safe ways to get there. The city is also fixing intersections across downtown, safer crosswalks, better traffic signals, more accessible for wheelchairs and strollers. And if you're visiting Seattle for the first time, maybe from another country, you will not be confused or unsafe trying to cross the street. Every single one of these projects has the same hard deadline: finish before June 2026. And that's when everything changes. All right, now let's talk again about why Seattle is racing to finish all these projects at the same time. The big kahuna, the FIFA Men's World Cup, is coming to Seattle in 2026. It's the biggest sporting event on the planet, bigger than the Super Bowl, bigger than the Olympics for a single city. Seattle is one of 16 host cities across the US, Canada, and Mexico, and one of 11 cities picked to host games. Lumen Field is going to host 6 World Cup matches. Group stage games happen on June 15th, 19th, 24th, and the 26th. Knockout rounds on July 1st and 6th. These aren't just any games. This is the entire world watching Seattle on live TV in nearly every country. We expect over 750,000 visitors to come to Seattle during the tournament. Not all at once, of course, but over 3 weeks. And most visitors are expected to stay an average of 9 days. They won't just watch soccer, they'll explore the entire city, eat at our best restaurants, visit parks, ride transit, and spend money everywhere they go. Now guess the economic impact. King County says the World Cup will bring in $929 million. That's nearly $1 billion flowing to the region. The state and city will collect over $100 million in taxes, and the tournament will create more than 20,000 jobs, both full-time and part-time. The Seattle Center, as you know, will become the official FIFA fan zone. This can hold up to 20,000 fans at the same time. Picture 20,000 people gathered to watch games on massive screens, celebrating and partying together. Now here's the reality. Every single project we've talked about in this video has one single deadline. All of it has to be ready before June 15, 2026. That's the day the first World Cup match kicks off at Lumen Field. And it's not all about soccer. Of course it is right now. The World Cup is forcing our hand, but new transit lines that were delayed for years suddenly being done. Billionaires are writing checks. Infrastructure that kept getting pushed back. It's all getting done. The world is coming to Seattle, and the city can't afford to look broken down, outdated, or unprepared. That's why 2026 isn't just another year for Seattle. It's the year everything changes at once. So that is everything new and coming soon to Seattle in 2026. Nearly $1 billion in projects, all finishing by June 15th, the day the World Cup starts. And here's what most people miss. They follow the transit lines. The new light rail stations mean new parks nearby. New parks mean better bike lanes. Better bike lanes mean more restaurants, shops opening up. It's all connected. So if you're thinking about buying property in Seattle, the neighborhoods near these new transit stops are about to get way more expensive. That's how cities work. Infrastructure comes first, then everything else follows. Now, if you're thinking about buying or selling in Seattle right now, reach out to us. We're the Wagner Real Estate Group. We've sold over $80 million a year, helping over 800 families. We rank as one of the top small teams in Washington State. We know this market cold. You can text me or call me directly, Maynard Wagner, at 206-369-8201, or just check the description below. All right, now speaking of expensive Seattle real estate, want to see where the billionaires actually live? Because once you understand what neighborhoods are getting all this new infrastructure, you might want to know which neighborhoods already have everything and what it costs to live there. I've already shot a video and I'm showing you inside Seattle's most expensive neighborhoods. It's the streets where Microsoft founders, Amazon executives, and Seattle's richest families own houses worth tens of millions. You'll see waterfront communities tourists never find, hilltop neighborhoods with ridiculous views, and exactly what it costs to live where Seattle billionaires call home. The gap between regular Seattle and billionaire Seattle is wild. So click the link in the description to see it. All right, well, thanks for watching. I'm looking forward to seeing you on the next one.